Hey, Nadine.
Hello, Harley. Something I'd like to ask you. You seem quite well traveled. What's it like in a big city?
I don't think anything I could tell you could take the place of first-hand experience.
I suppose you're right.
Doubt it's anything you can't handle. Stick with us and you'll be fine.
I imagine I will.
Good book?
I'm not much of a literary critic, but it helps pass the time. Danny told me you're a writer. Have you published any books?
Me? No, books are way beyond my reach. I stick to articles and essays, and have trouble enough with those.
You shouldn't underestimate yourself. It wouldn't surprise me to see a book with your name on the cover someday.
Well, that's kind of you to say. Guess we'll see. Phil?
Harley?
So how did you wind up here in Vespuccia?
I had a feeling you would be asking me that eventually. I can appreciate your curiosity, although it is painful to relate. But you may as well know. I had assembled Lieutenant General de la Vega and several of my men in Jicotea, a small village on the Loyola River. We were preparing an operation to liberate the nearby town of Caballo Viejo. The Spanish army had it under occupation for some weeks, seeking intelligence on our movements. But before we could act, they struck without warning, and without mercy. They did not confine themselves to fighting armed revolutionary soldiers. Old men, women, children, all were valid targets in their eyes. All held collectively responsible for resisting imperial rule. Victory was out of the question. We were hopelessly outmatched. Many brave souls laid down their lives to allow innocents a chance for escape. As civilians fled the village, I led the retreat north with Lieutenant General de la Vega. We gathered what we could of our forces from other positions along the way. It was clear that the army would relentlessly target any village known to harbor revolutionary cells and administer the same treatment. I left Jicotea a smoking ruin. I could not allow that to happen again. Temporary exile was the only alternative.
Holy hell, what a story. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Do not be. The Spanish have shown their true colors and made the necessity of our struggle only too clear. The day will come when I will gather my army, renewed in force and in spirit, and return to our homeland to reclaim what is ours.
So, this revolution, what exactly is it you're fighting for?
What does any man who is oppressed fight for? Freedom. Simple as that. The imperial government has grown fat on the labor of the masses. They torture and imprison anyone who dares speak out against their abuses. My people and I are straining to throw off the yoke of colonialism.
We'll talk more later.
I look forward to it.
Leger, get up here a minute, would you?
What's going on?
I don't much care for the looks of that sky.
No? Looks fine to me.
Give it half an hour and it won't. There's a dust storm coming. We need to seek shelter fast.
We can't just stop and wait it out on the wagon?
Even secured, there's a chance it could blow over. I'm not risking it. There's a house up ahead a ways. We'll stop and see if we can shelter there.
All right. I'll let the others know. Lola wasn't kidding about the storm picking up. Is someone living here? Hello? Anybody home? No answer. And wouldn't you know it, it's locked. Good thing I've got these lockpicks. Oh!
Can I help you with something?
My companions and I need a place to ride out the storm. We thought this house was abandoned.
Well, it's not. But how many are ye?
There's 6 of us. That's our wagon back there on the road.
Well then, go fetch 'em.
You're sure?
I won't have ye blow away on me porch. And you'll be keeping an old man company. So long as you're not bandits or thieves, are ye?
No, sir. We're fortune seekers. Of an honest sort.
Then we'll be getting along just fine. Now, get your folk in here quick, before we all get whisked to Kingdom Come.
Appreciate you letting us ride out the storm in here, sir. Mighty good of you.
Ah, of course. As I told your mate, I'm glad for the company. Welcome to me home. I'm Captain Philip Boylan.
Pleasure's all ours. I'm Jake Ackerman. And this is Miss Leger, Mr. Luo, Mr. Marquez, Ms. Redbird, and Miss Johnson.
Fine-looking crew, sure. And not to worry, there's plenty of space here. I've a spare room upstairs and a settee in the library.
So, Captain Boylan, would that be a sea captain?
Aye.
We're a long way from water. What brought you out here?
There'll be time for trading tales soon enough. For now, I'll be needing some assistance. I was about to start supper. Seeing as I'm setting extra places, I could use a couple more hands.
I'd be glad to help.
As would I.
Ah, grand.
Looks like you have your kitchen crew assembled. Thanks for stepping up, you two. Have fun.
All right, shall we? The rest of ye, make yourselves at home. I'll sound the gong when supper's ready.
Seems a nice enough feller.
Indeed.
He must be lonely to take in a bunch of strangers like this.
Maybe. He seems like a kind man.
I do not know about you, but I am curious to see this library. See you all at dinner.
I'll be upstairs.
Ooh, exploring a spooky old house. What fun. See you later, Harley.
It seems the good captain is an avid reader.
No kidding. Admiring the captain's collection?
I am. Such curious objects.
We're in the middle of the desert, but it feels like we could be at sea. The plaque says the Corunna. Oh, that's interesting. There's a little model sailor that looks kind of like Captain Boylan. Wasted no time making yourself comfortable, I see.
My back's been acting up lately, you know? Truth is, it's been a while since I was out on the road like this, camping with only a bedroll every night. Guess I got used to inns and soft mattresses. And there's a decent bed in the show wagon. Now, it ain't like I've gone soft or nothing, just, you know, showing my old bones some love. We can chat after supper. Right now, I could use a rest.
Miss Johnson, there you are.
Yep,
Can you see anything through that spyglass?
just the wagon. Wanted to make sure it's standing up to the storm.
And is it?
Seems to be. Excuse me, won't you?
I can't remember the last time this table was so full. How are ye finding the fare?
Not bad.
Most satisfactory.
The very soul of rustic simplicity. Quite simple and, unadorned.
And no adornment needed. My compliments to the kitchen. Helpers included.
In any case, it's been a real pleasure having a proper meal at a table.
Been roughing it then?
And how? A campfire don't compare to this.
Where are ye folks headed?
El Presidio.
Ah, I used to sail out of there.
Captain, I must admit I'm curious to know more about you.
Well, I'm flattered, Miss Leger. Although, I can assure ye there's nothing much exciting about this old sea dog. At least not nowadays.
You said you sailed from El Presidio, Captain Boylan?
Aye, for many a year. I used to captain a whaler.
No kidding. You must have some stories.
A fair few. I could tell ye about the largest beast we ever snared. The one what took me leg.
Go on then, tell us.
It was back in 25. We was circling a lagoon off the coast of New Spain. We were on the point of giving up, when suddenly, a great monster breaches off the port bow. She was the biggest I'd ever seen. I shouted the order to launch the whaleboats in pursuit. Me men put all their backs and all their hearts into rowing, and soon we was on her. All around, the water was churning white with foam. The beast surfaced again so close, we nearly capsized. But the harpooner had steady legs, and a steadier aim on him, and he struck true. Then, the battle began. Oh, how she thrashed and reared. Somehow, the rope got wrapped round me leg, and pulled, and tore almost clean through. I thought I was a goner for sure. But it wasn't over yet. At last, the beast tired out. We hauled her in just as it was getting dark. Cutting her up was no easy job. She was 50 foot if she was an inch. Got a good sum for all that oil and blubber. But it wasn't only the whale went under the knife that night. Doc cut me up too, taking care of what little was left of me leg by that point. Saved me life.
Quite a tale.
That poor creature.
I doubt you'd feel that way if you met one yourself, Missy.
How about we just finish our dinner? If anybody has an appetite left after that story.
Aye, fair enough. No, that was a fine meal. And a fine meal should be followed by some fine rum and conversation. Would ye care to join me in the library?
That sounds like a perfect way to pass the evening.
I'm going to retire. Sounds like the storm's died down, so I'm bunking in the wagon.
You sure that's a good idea, Miss Johnson?
I'm sure. See y'all bright and early.
Sure you won't have some rum, Miss Redbird?
I'm sure. Thank you.
And for you, Miss Leger.
You can spare me a pour as well, Captain.
Aye, fair enough. A toast to new friends.
Cheers! Damn, where'd you say this stuff came from?
A gift from an old friend in Barbados. Best rum in the world, in my opinion. Got plenty more in me cellar. You're welcome to it. Now then, Mr. Marquez, I had a question for ye.
I may have an answer.
Am I mistaken, or are ye of the new Spanish persuasion?
I am, yes.
Ha ha ha! Grand! I'd like ye to have this. She belonged to an old friend of mine. New Spanish, like yourself. He used to play the most beautiful music. He left her to me when he died, but I always felt she should return to her proper home, as it were.
I'm honored.
Suppose I ought to have asked if you play.
In fact, I do. A little bit, anyway.
Go on, then. Give us a song.
Very well, but let me tune her first. That should do. Now, let's see if I remember.
Goodness, that was beautiful. Where did you learn that?
Thank you, Harley. I had a tutor as a child. My father insisted I learn to play something, so I chose the guitar.
Well, ain't you just full of surprises?
I think this calls for another round.
Hear, hear.
It's been a grand evening. But this old salt needs his beauty sleep. Stay up late as he like. All I ask is he not disturb me in me quarters. I'm not a light sleeper, but I can be a right bastard when startled.
I promise we'll steer clear and tiptoe quieter than the angels. Good night, Captain.
See y'all in the morning.
Don't know about you folks, but I ain't ready to bed down just yet.
Yes, the night is still young.
Let's say we have a couple more rounds.
The rum's all gone, though.
Captain Boylan said he had more in the cellar.
I'll just go fetch a bottle or two. Oh, bad news. Cellar's locked.
Chingada.
Guess the party's over, then?
Not necessarily. Harley, would you be so kind as to apply your skills to our little problem?
Sure, I can get that door open. I've still got my lockpicks, so it'll be a cinch.
Atta girl. Let us know when you done it.
A diamond pick. This one's good for simple door locks. Well, I'll be. Jake? Phil? I got it.
Nice work, Harley. Now let's go get that rum.
I cannot see a thing down here.
How about we light that wall lamp?
Don't mind if I do. Much better.
Now, about that rum.
What was that?
Sounded like the captain's voice. Come on. You heard it too, huh?
Yes, it came from upstairs, I think.
It sounded like Captain Boylan, but aren't his quarters on this floor?
I thought the same.
Perhaps we should go see if he's all right.
Yep, you and Miss Redbird check the spare room, Danny and I'll check the bedroom. Harley, you look in the captain's quarters. We ain't got time to lose.
Odd. Captain Boylan's not here. Where could he have gone? There's an old book in here. A journal. Better take it. There's not much in here. I guess Captain Boylan didn't care much for writing. Here's an interesting passage.
Fisher landed another whale today on his first shot. I asked him how he managed it. Turns out he's been tying his wife's kerchief to the harpoon handle. Swears it brings luck and improves his aim. Ah, to be young and in love.
Can't really see anything in here. Hang on. What's this? There's a small switch in the back. Well, I'll be damned. Captain! You're still breathing, thank God. Hang on, I'll get help.
He appears to be fine physically, but he seems to be in some sort of trance.
A trance? How do you mean?
His eyes are open, but he's not really awake. He's gone within himself. I've seen people do this voluntarily, to meditate or relive certain memories, but Captain Boylan seems trapped.
Is there anything we can do?
I'm not entirely sure. Did he say anything when you found him, Harley?
Not a word.
I'm at a loss. Something brought this on, but what?
Could it have something to do with this room? If he went to the trouble of building a secret passage, it must have some significance to him.
That's a very good point. I would say this place is a sanctuary.
But from what? The man lives alone in the desert already. What's he need a secret sanctuary for?
Look, on the wall there.
It's a sketch of Captain Boylan with 5 other men. His crew, maybe? There's a signature. A. Cranach.
Cranach! God forgive me.
Captain, can you hear me?
The doom? The doom!
What doom? What do you mean?
I came from nowhere. I ought to have taken heed. I ought to have let it take me.
Captain? Captain? He's unresponsive again.
This is all so strange. I wish we knew what was going on.
I think I have an idea.
Yes?
That chair, the way it's positioned, facing that sketch, this room being hidden, I think something happened to those men. Something bad. And I think the captain blames himself for it. He probably comes in here to punish himself.
Oh, how you figure that?
Because, well, call it a hunch.
I don't know. Seems kind of far-fetched, don't it?
Not entirely. I've read some of the new theories about the study of the mind. A particularly traumatic event may have shaken Captain Boylan's sanity.
So, he has gone mad?
Yes, but he may not be beyond help. We could try to reach him. I could try a form of hypnosis.
Oh, sure. That's where you get him to cluck like a chicken, right?
Not at all. It means he would be calmed and put into a receptive state. Then we could speak directly with his unconscious mind. But to have the best chance, we would have to recreate the environment he's experiencing as accurately as possible.
Recreate the environment? Just how do you propose we do that?
We must each take on a role.
Oh, you mean like play acting?
Something like that. If we can each convincingly assume the identities of the men in that sketch, the captain may feel they are truly here with him. His fantasy will become clear, and we'll be able to guide him through and out of it.
Sounds just crazy enough to work.
But we know nothing about these men, aside from what they look like.
Which means we need to find out more. The more details we have, the better.
Then let's put this show together. Harley, you're good at finding things. See if Captain Boylan had a diary or something.
All right, I'm on it. Not much inside. There is a folded up piece of paper. Seems to be a recipe for sea biscuits. There's a note. Your favorites. Told you they were simple to make. Perhaps someday you can whip some up for me. It's initialed GOM. Spare linens, and an old sketch. A sketch of a ship. The Derwent. There's a note. Captain Boylan, looking forward to our first voyage together. Signed A. Cranach. Cranach? That's the same name on the sketch in the attic. So the Derwent must be the ship I'm looking for. The plaque says the Corunna. Oh, that's interesting. There's a little model sailor that looks kind of like Captain Boylan. And that other one there looks like one of the men in the attic sketch. I need to figure out exactly who it is. Hey, I've seen this sort of thing before. I believe it's called scrimshaw. Looks like a navigational chart. I'll take it with me. There's a path drawn around an island that says Detour. The name of the island's been crossed out. I'll take this hat. A bit tight, but not the worst look. There's an empty bottle and a note in here. I'll take the note. Captain Boylan, I recommend taking 1 nitroglycerin tablet per day and avoiding overexcitement. Dr. Francois. It doesn't do much for me. A ship in a dense fog. Ah, here we are. The logbook for the Derwent. The Derwent sailed out of El Presidio in 1830. Listed crew is Captain Philip Boylan, First Mate Michael Benelli, Navigator Karanga Payo, Harpooner Jalal Fisher, Dr. Jonas Francois, Cook George O'Malley, and Alfred Cranach, profession unlisted. Can't reach it from down here. There we are. An old navigational chart. Looks awfully familiar. These two charts show the same land masses. The island crossed out on my chart is called Hastram Skerry. The captain won't miss this for now. I found the ship's log for the crew in the sketch.
Nicely done. Let's have a look. All right, so we've got a first mate, navigator, harpooner, doctor, cook, and artist. We can probably leave that last one out.
Okay, so Danny can be the cook, Nadine the doctor, Phil the harpooner, you can be the navigator, and I'll be the first mate.
Oh, don't you think I ought to be the first mate?
Does it really matter?
Reckon not. Right, now all we need are some props.
Props?
Sure, for authenticity. Have another look at the sketch. Each of the crewmen is either wearing or holding something unique.
Jake's right. If we each have the appropriate item, it will increase our chances of convincing the captain that we are his former crew. I'd also suggest trying to learn at least one personal detail about each one, just in case.
Okay, I'll have a look around.
Bring me any items you find.
And let me know when you're ready to begin the performance.
This is a lot to keep track of. I'd better make a list. Here, this is the hat First Mate Benelli wore.
Perfect. I'll hang on to it.
A spyglass for Navigator Pio.
Great.
Here's a carved whale tooth for Dr. Francois.
This one's you, Miss Redbird.
I found this inkwell and quill. Should work for drawing O'Malley's tattoo on Danny.
Right. I'll hold on to this thing until it's time.
Here's a harpoon for Mr. Fisher.
All right, this one's yours, Phil.
I do hope this works.
Nice work, Harley. I think we got all the props we need.
Captain Boylan. I recommend taking 1 nitroglycerin tablet per day and avoiding overexcitement. Dr. Francois. A sketch of a ship. The Derwent. There's a note. Captain Boylan, looking forward to our first voyage together. Signed A. Cranach. The captain still has some old country pride. Definitely not the one that got away. Well stocked, but not with anything I need. Not much inside. There is a folded up piece of paper. Seems to be a recipe for sea biscuits. There's a note. Your favorites. Told you they were simple to make. Perhaps someday you can whip some up for me. It's initialed GOM. A painting of a harbor. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. A seaside landscape. I'm detecting a theme. If I had to guess, I'd say this came from someplace in Africa. This could be useful. Pointy. We're in the middle of the desert, but it feels like we could be at sea. These shelves are full of ship's logbooks. Captain Boylan had a long career. Classical dialogues, poetry, and natural philosophy. Atlases, travelogues, and naval histories. Some kind of navigational instrument. I haven't a clue how it works. Nautical adventures, war stories, medieval romances, and frontier tales. The label says Barbados rum. The port of Gascon, if I'm not mistaken. Been years since I've seen it. Ah. Evocative scene. Captain Boylan was quite dashing in his youth. A musty-smelling mess of laundry. Can't see much aside from the wagon parked down there. It doesn't do much for me. No rum in here, surprisingly. Enough rum to last a lifetime. Or an evening. An old navigational chart looks awfully familiar. There's a path drawn around an island that says Detour. It's crossed out on here, but the island is called Hastrim Skerry. There's not much in here. I guess Captain Boylan didn't care much for writing. Here's an interesting passage.
Fisher landed another whale today on his first shot. I asked him how he managed it. Turns out he's been tying his wife's kerchief to the harpoon handle. Swears it brings luck and improves his aim. Ah, to be young and in love.
For an old sea captain, Boylan's got some rather modern conveniences. The dinner gong. Can't imagine it gets much use. No mirror. I guess Captain Boylan doesn't do much preening here. That's Captain Boylan on the left. According to the ship's log, these other men are harpooner Jalal Fisher, cook George O'Malley, Dr. Jonas Francois, first mate Michael Benelli, and navigator Karenga Payo.
Seems like handy information to know.
A sketch of a ship, the Derwent. There's a note. Captain Boylan, looking forward to our first voyage together. Signed, A. Cranach. The plaque says the Corunna. Oh, that's interesting. There's a little model sailor that looks kind of like Captain Boylan. And that looks like First Mate Benelli. They must have been shipmates.
Is everything ready to go? Keep in mind, we'll likely only get one chance at this.
I think so. I've found everything I can.
Excellent. Let's gather everything together and get started. I'll begin. Then we can each say who we are. Captain Boylan, hear the voices of your former crew.
Me crew?
Go ahead, Harley. You start.
First Mate Michael Benelli reporting for duty, Captain Boylan.
Michael, can it be?
Captain Boylan, it's Karenga Payo, your navigator.
Payo, you're alive?
Captain Boylan, it's me, George O'Malley. Supper is almost ready.
Ah, yes, I can smell it. Delicious.
Captain Boylan, I am Jalal Fisher, harpooner.
Of course, Fisher! I knew ye'd made it.
And I am Dr. Jonas Francois.
Doc! Oh, Doc, how I've needed ye. Me crew? Can it be?
Yes, Captain. We've come to speak with you.
But you're not some devils sent to trick me?
We are not, I assure you.
Prove it then, Benelli. If it's truly yourself, tell me the name of the ship we served on before the Derwent.
How could I forget the Corunna?
Aye, an unforgettable ship she was. Ah, Michael. I don't know how it'd be possible, but it's good you're back. Payo!
Aye, Captain.
Remind me of the course correction ye made this morning.
We're going around Hostrom Skerry.
That's right. I remember now. Fine work, Payo. That'll surely save us some time. Fisher, have ye your harpoon at the ready?
Aye, sir.
And your aim will be true?
Yes, I have my wife's lucky kerchief tied to the handle.
Ah, good. Then our hunt is sure to succeed. O'Malley?
Sir?
I believe I know that delicious scent. But remind me what it is you're making.
Why, your favorite, of course. Sea biscuits.
As I suspected, I can hardly wait for a taste.
Captain, I recommend you take it easy.
Why is that, Dr. Francois?
I don't want you to put any stress on your heart. Have you been taking your nitroglycerin tablets?
I have. I think I have. I can't believe what I'm seeing and hearing, but y'all are really here. But how can this be? I saw ye all dragged under. I can't make sense of this.
Perhaps you still can. Tell us what you remember.
Aye, 20 years ago, the Derwent left El Presidio on the hunt for whales. We'd been out for months, with almost naught to show for it. A wretched haul and wretched pay. Benelli came to me, saying the crew was getting agitated, yearning for home. Forgive me, Benelli. I ought to have listened to you. After the third time you tried to speak sense, I tossed you in the brig for insubordination. One more, I said. We'll not turn for home before we bring in one more whale. Payo and Fisher, at least, were keen. I saw the signs, but didn't want to believe them. Didn't want to turn back. But there was a devil of a storm brewing, and he brought us down. Poor Benelli, locked in the brig, to drown like a rat. And the rest of ye didn't stand a chance once the ship turned over. Brave, brave Fisher. You saved me life, when it ought to have been me what went down with the Derwent. Ah, lads, that night's been eating away at me for 20 years. How I wish I could go back. How I wish I could make things right.
But you can't. The past is the past, and what's done is done. The best you can do is learn to accept and live with it.
But how? You 5 brave men died because of me.
Yet you were given a second chance. Use it to do good with your life. Like sheltering strangers from a dust storm, for instance.
It won't ever stop hurting. But you can take the pain and turn it into something good.
I suppose you're right. I swear I'll do right by all of ye. Thank ye. You've given me a moment of peace. I hope to God you've found it as well. Oh, I am weary.
Think it worked?
I hope so. Come, we should get some sleep. And let's refrain from mentioning this to the captain in the morning.
Appreciate your hospitality, Captain.
Think nothing of it. I hope you all slept well.
Very much so. And yourself?
Best sleep I've had in years.
I'm glad to hear it.
Ye said you were headed to El Presidio?
That's right.
Then I wonder if I might trouble ye for a small favour. I've a letter needs delivering. Could I entrust it to ye?
Of course.
My thanks. I'd also like to leave ye with a couple of mementos for being so quick to volunteer and help out. Mr. Luo and Miss Redbird, please, take this bottle of Barbadian rum. Perhaps ye might split it between ye. Makes dull work go faster.
Oh, thanks. That's very kind.
And for you, Miss Leger, this tea caddy. I carved the inlay myself.
It's beautiful.
Best of luck on your journey. And if ye ever pass this way again, feel free to knock on me door.
Thanks, Captain, we will.
Our stay at Captain Boylan's farmhouse was anything but dull. I can't say for sure whether we truly helped him for good and all, but he seemed himself again when he saw us off this morning. I do believe he was truly lonely in his self-imposed exile and grateful for even the brief company we offered. After traveling half the day, we've stopped for a brief rest, and Nadine has asked me to accompany her on an excursion into the desert. For what purpose, I shall soon learn.
Thank you for accompanying me, Harley.
Not a problem. What are we doing, exactly?
Gathering firewood. There's probably plenty of petrified wood, but we should be able to find some useful scrub.
You sure? It seems awful barren.
At first glance, yes, but the desert is good at concealing. Just look closely and you'll find what you're seeking. Over here looks promising.
Whew, that is some strong-smelling stuff. There's some tea in here. It's addressed to the Widow Bonelli. There's no specific address. It just says El Presidio.
There, over by that flintstone. That branch is perfect. I'll let you do the honors.
Surprisingly light. Suppose there's more around here?
Undoubtedly. It probably came from that tree over there. Let's split up. I'll check beyond the tree. You search the area to the south. Once you've gathered enough, we can meet back here and sort it.
Okay. Good luck, I guess.
And to you.
This branch isn't going anywhere without coaxing. That's not going to get the wood out. Not much in here except a rusty knife. But a rusty knife is better than no knife at all. Damn it! Fast, little son of a gun. Nadine? Can you hear me? Could use some help. Damn it! Where did that varmint get to? Well, well, look who it is. Smug little bastard. Gotta figure out how to get him to drop that stick. Sparks. Good to know I can start a fire if I need to. Come on! Got it. There. Now the cloth is soaked in alcohol. I'll just wrap this cloth around the end of the branch. Nothing. Guess banging rocks together doesn't actually make fire. Well, I'll be. Go on, get out of here. Nadine's never going to believe what I went through to get this. Right, that should be enough. Now to find Nadine.
It sounds like you went to some lengths to gather that wood.
Did you fare any better?
Nothing so exciting. Just gathered a bit with some patient searching. You said a coyote ran off with one of the branches?
Yeah, sneaky little thing. I improvised a torch and scared it off with fire.
Clever. You outsmarted the trickster. You know, Vespuccian natives tell many stories about Coyote the Trickster. He's never quite either good or bad, but he's always getting into scrapes and causing trouble. Would you like to hear one?
Please, I'd like that.
Okay, but first,
What are you doing?
you'll see. Now then. Coyote went to visit Kingfisher because he was out of food. "Brother, what have you got to eat? I'm very hungry." Kingfisher didn't like this rude way of talking, but he flew to the top of his lodge, then flew to the river and down through a hole in the ice. He came back up with many fish. The two ate until their bellies were full, and Coyote went home. The next day, Coyote climbed up onto the roof of his lodge. "What are you doing up there?" asked his wife. "Why, you know I've done this before. I'm getting food for our supper." Coyote jumped off the roof, down to the river, but he missed the hole and broke his neck and was killed. Kingfisher, who had been nearby, walked over to where Coyote was. He jumped into the river and emerged with many fish. Then he jumped over Coyote 4 times, and Coyote came back to life. "This is my way, not your way," said Kingfisher. "I do not imitate others like you do." He handed Coyote the fish before leaving. Coyote went back to his wife and showed her the fish. "Look at these big fish. I caught them the way Kingfisher does. Kingfisher is afraid of my power. He told me not to do this again. He knows my medicine is strong." Coyote's wife cooked the fish.
Wow, that's a hell of a tale.
I always found it rather compelling.
So where did you hear the story?
Actually, I read it in a book, Myths and Legends of the Native Vespuccians. Dr. Sedgwick bought it from a traveling bookseller. I think he was of two minds about giving it to me. On the one hand, I know he considered it frivolous heathen claptrap, but on the other hand, he thought it might be meaningful to me, having something connected to my origins. He was right. I cherished that book, devoured it. It was written by a white man who was supposed to have traveled all around the country collecting native folk tales. Sometimes I wonder if he ever left the publishing office in Bright Bay. Maybe he just made them all up. I preferred to believe that there was something authentic about them, though.
I imagine the writer did a fair bit of massaging to make the stories palatable to the book-buying public. Editors are finicky about what they'll publish. And who even knows if the people he got the stories from were just telling him what he wanted to hear. But somewhere in there is the seed of the original stories and the truths they have to tell. If putting them in a book helped them reach more people, like you, then that's a good thing, right?
Yes, I suppose so.
Anyhow, I liked the way you told it. It's your story now.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. Here, for you.
Oh, this is really well done. Thank you.
Shall we head back now?
Sure. Let's go. Hey, Danny, let's talk.
Sure.
Captain Boylan sure was facing some demons. Hope he'll be all right.
I think so. At least, he seemed happier.
Hey, Jake,
Yeah, Harley?
do you suppose Captain Boylan will be okay?
I think so. You did a good thing helping him. Of course, without all the proper atmosphere and props, I doubt it would have been half as effective.
How about another story?
Sure. Let me tell you about the biggest rattlesnake I ever saw. So that's how I learned to never turn my back on a snake.
Hey, Leger, I need a word.
Yes?
There's a stopped wagon up ahead. Freighters from the look of it. I'll pull over. Go see if they've got anything worthwhile for sale.
Will do. Excuse me, ma'am?
Oh, hello there. Where did you come from?
The wagon just down the road there. I was coming to see if...
Hold up there, stranger.
Pa, what are you doing?
State your business. We do not want trouble.
Easy there. Trouble's the last thing I'm looking for.
Then what are you looking for?
I've been sent to inquire if you were traders. Thought we might do business.
Ah, well, there you are then. You can put the gun down, Pa. She's clearly not a highway woman.
No? You know how sneaky they are, Ma. And this road is infested with them.
You've had some trouble with bandits, then?
Not personally, thanks be to God. But we know the terrible tales.
And we take such warnings seriously. Very seriously.
Pa, please. If she did have any wicked intent, I'm sure she's given it up now that she sees how well protected we are. Please put the gun away, and let's talk like civilized Christian folk.
Very well. I swear, if you attempt anything...
She'll regret it sorely, I'm sure. There now. Well, you asked if we were traders, and indeed we are. We're bound for Rosewater to sell our stock. We were about to make camp for the evening, but we'd be glad to show you what we have, provided you can pay or trade.
My companions might like to take a look.
Well, we could display our wares before we make our camp. Or perhaps we could all camp together, make an evening of it. A chance to trade stories as well as wares.
Now, Ma, is that a good idea? Ria has been fussy all day.
It will be fine. She loves meeting new people.
We do not have extra food, so we cannot feed you.
That's all right. We have some. We can pool what we've got.
Very good. A potluck.
Great. I'll let my companions know to prepare for company. By the way, my name's Harley Leger.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance. We are the Fortin family. I'm Sarah Little Owl, and my husband is Carl. We've also got 3 children in the wagon. Beth, Bram, and baby Ria. You'll meet them later this evening.
I look forward to it.
What a nice evening. I'm so glad we did this. Seems Gegi's taken a shine to Miss Johnson.
She's a fine dog. With a little training, she'd be a fine trail companion.
Oh, I don't think we'll bother with all that.
Fair enough. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to the other fire.
Take Gegi along if you want.
All right. Come on, girl.
Hey, Mrs. Fortin?
Yes, Miss Leger.
I'm curious to know how you and your husband met.
We both worked for the Gold River Trading Company. I'd already been at the lodge for a few years with my brothers when he first came through. We courted for a while, and eventually decided to elope.
Love at first sight, huh?
It took a while to get to know him, but I could see he was different from the other trappers. Brutes and wild men, but not Carl. After we were married, we both left the company and came west to work independently.
Are you from Western Vespuccia originally?
No, I'm Cheyenne. We come from the southern part of the province you call Rotterdam. Your friend, Miss Redbird. Who are her people?
I asked, but she doesn't know herself. We met her at an Otham village, where she was staying as a guest.
I see. Well, send her my way when she has a moment. I'd love a chat.
You folks been to Rosewater often?
Several times, yes. We usually spend the winter there. Ever since they extended the rail line, we can go there and sell to traders who ship our pelts back east. Actually, Ria was born in Rosewater.
You don't say. Have you had your dog long?
Only a few days. We adopted Gegi from a traveling carnival we passed some miles back. Pa wasn't too enthusiastic about it. But I thought it would do the children good to have a companion. Although I have noticed that Bram starts to sneeze something awful when she's around. I hope he gets over it.
How did you come up with the name Gegi?
Oh, that was Ria's doing. Gegi is her way of saying doggy. We all thought it was adorable, and the name stuck.
So, what's the trapper's life like?
It can be rough, but I like the freedom. We can go where we want, when we want, without any boss telling us otherwise.
It's not too dangerous for a young family?
The children are born to it. They can hunt and trap with their eyes closed. Besides, we don't go after anything dangerous. Mainly deer, elk, and beavers.
Your children seem very capable. How old are they?
Beth is 14, Bram is 9, and Rhea is 18 months.
Harley, come, join us.
No! Bad dog! Bram! Take this mutt back to the wagon. She has caused enough trouble for one night.
She's just a pup. You can't expect her to be a perfect angel without being trained to it.
Trained? I would like to know how we will find the time for that. Honestly, I do not know what Sarah was thinking taking her in.
Here, Mr. Fortin, have some rum. I think it will do you some good.
I probably shouldn't, but why not?
How about that song you were gonna play us, Phil?
Ah, yes. This is a tune I have always enjoyed.
Mr. Fortin?
Yes?
Just wanted to tell you, your family's lovely.
Oh, that is very kind of you, Miss Leger. I am blessed to have such a loving wife and children. Quite fortunate. Ironic, really.
How do you mean?
Most folk mispronounce my surname as Fortune if they see it written down. There's supposed to be power in names, right? Maybe even wrong ones.
How did you come to meet Mrs. Fortin?
Oh, well, I was working at the Gold River Trading Company, and she came in to work at the lodge with her brothers. The other trappers treated her and her kin like the dirt they walked on, but eventually I convinced her I was different. Decided we should elope a short while after we began courting. The fools I worked with did not look too favorably upon me marrying a native girl. So I said to hell with them. We left town and moved out here to make it on our own. Been doing fine ever since.
I'd like to know more about your children.
Those apples did not fall too far from the tree, thank the Lord. Bram's a great shot, and Beth's as good a trapper as me, maybe better. I just hope that does not cause trouble when the time comes to find her a husband.
Pardon my frankness, but I get the impression you don't much care for your dog.
It's not that I don't care for her. I do not believe we can care for her. We've already got 5 mouths to feed. One more won't help. Ma didn't even consult me before taking her. Says she got her for the children, but they should worry about taking care of each other, not some poor animal.
What's the trapper's life like?
It can be a lonely life. Lots of trappers live and work alone, and hardly ever see another living soul. I think it drives them a little crazy, like they forget how to be human. That is why I thank God every day for my family. They saved me from that.
Mrs. Fortin mentioned you were headed to Rosewater?
That's right. It's where we do most of our business. Be nice to see old Sheriff Campbell again. He's good people.
Good evening, Harley.
Hi, Nadine. And who's this?
This is the Fortines' eldest daughter, Beth, and their youngest, Rhea.
Good to meet you, Beth. I'm Harley.
How do you do?
So, what have you two been chatting about?
Beth was just recounting her family's journey from the mountains.
Hasn't been too eventful. Most interesting thing we've seen is a traveling carnival. Of course, we didn't get to see much of it on account of Pa. He kept saying there were a bunch of hucksters and thieves looking to steal our money.
That dog of yours is real cute.
Oh, do you think so? I'm not fond of dogs, but Ma got him mostly to keep Bram entertained, I think. I worry when she gets too excited around the baby, though.
Sweet baby. Quiet.
Yes, Rio's very good-tempered. Not like Bram at that age. Whew! He was a little terror.
Mrs. Fortin told me to send you her way, Nadine. I think she wants to talk to you.
Oh, all right. Thanks for letting me know.
I'll just leave you both to it.
Excuse me, but it's getting late. I should put Ria to bed.
Very well. It was nice talking to you, Beth.
And you. Good night.
Hey, Miss Johnson?
What do you need?
Phil's not bad, is he?
I've certainly heard worse. Think I'll be retiring soon. Early start tomorrow.
You're always the first one down. Be nice to have you stick around a while longer.
Think so, huh?
Sure. This is our chance to wind down. Enjoy each other's company some.
We'll see, but I ain't making any promises.
I noticed you and the dog were getting on well.
She's sweet. This family don't appreciate what they've got. Not everybody's cut out for taking care of others.
Sorry, think we could talk later? I want to hear Phil play.
Not now, Harley. I'm listening to the music.
He's in the middle of playing. Kind of hypnotic. Having a good evening, Mrs. Fortin?
I am, Miss Leger. I'm so glad we did this. It's so nice to have music, isn't it?
Mr. Fortin?
Yes?
If Geggi's a burden to you, we could take her off your hands.
You would do that?
Sure.
No, I couldn't. Ma would raise Cain, and the children would hate me if I gave away their dog.
Your daughter told me she's not fond of dogs.
That right? I wish she had told me, or her mother for that matter. Tell you what, I'll go discuss it with Ma. We will let you know what we decide.
He's in the middle of playing.
Miss Leger, come over here. Ma and I have discussed your proposal.
It pains me to admit it, but I may have been somewhat hasty in adopting that pup. Now, you're certain you can provide her a good home?
I think so, yes.
Then it is settled. We'll let you have her for 2 crowns.
Here you are.
Thanks very much. Bram, bring the dog out here.
Say goodbye to Geggi Bram. She'll be going with these people now, and you won't be sneezing anymore.
Congratulations, Miss Leger. You've got yourself a dog.
Who's a good girl? Okay, go play over there now.
We should probably call it a night, don't you think, Pa?
Yes, we have a long ride ahead of us.
It was lovely meeting you and your friends, Miss Leger.
Likewise. Best of luck on your travels.
And to you as well. Good night.
Bravo, Phil.
Gracias. Let us keep the evening going, shall we?
Good girl. You two make a fine pair.
I'm glad you managed to convince those folks to give her up. They seem nice enough, but I don't think they were right for her. For one thing, what kind of a name is Geggy?
I take it you're calling her something else?
Yep, her name's Lisa Lou now.
Good choice. She looks like a Lisa Lou.
I'm glad you think so.
Good girl. Hey Nadine, how's it going?
That was very kind of you. Adopting the dog? Miss Johnson certainly seems to have taken a shine. I don't think I've seen her smile before this evening. She almost looks like a different person.
Atta girl. Got any more songs for us, Phil?
In fact, I do. I always found this one rather beautiful. Dime que me haré, sin tu amor, flor silvestre. Si los días no me pertenecen, desde que crucé tu jardín. Si tu aroma mi alma carece, pierdo el deseo de vivir. Y cuando volveré a en mis brazos tenerte. Si estando libre tú eres feliz, cuando nadie tu paso detiene, la distancia no se compadece de estos ojos que sufren por ti. Y vivo la ilusión de que un día regreses. Entre abrazos y caricias confieses que no hay vida sin mí. Y dime que me haré sin tu amor, flor silvestre. Si los días no me pertenecen, desde que crucé tu jardín. Si tu aroma mi alma carece, pierdo el deseo de vivir.
Goodness, that was certainly...
Are you crying?
Of course not. Just got a cinder in my eye.
That was a beautiful song, Phil. Thanks for sharing.
My pleasure.
I'm feeling a mite queasy, so if you folks don't mind.
Atta girl. Hey, Danny. How's your evening been?
I really enjoyed meeting the Fortines. It's nice to see a family that's so close. All that time on the road and in the mountains, with only each other to rely on. It can't be easy, but they clearly make it work. I think maybe I'll ride my parents next chance I get.
Time for me to call it a night.
Good night, Harley.
Buenas noches.
Sleep well.
Night, Leger.
Hey, Nadine.
Hello, Harley.
I have to say, I've learned quite a bit about coyotes lately.
They are fascinating creatures, aren't they? I'm sure you can understand why there are so many stories and legends about them.
The Fortin family was nice, weren't they?
It was incredible to see such a strong family bond. They depend on each other completely for their livelihood and survival.
Did you get a chance to speak with Mrs. Fortin?
I did, for a short while.
What did she have to say?
Oh, she was just curious about my background. Told me about hers, that sort of thing. It was a nice conversation.
Phil?
Harley?
How are you liking the guitar?
It is a fine instrument. I have not had the opportunity to play in some time.
Meeting those trappers was fortunate.
Are you attempting to make a pun?
What? No. I would never. Puns are the lowest form of humor.
Aha! And what would you consider the highest?
I can always go in for some good old-fashioned gut-twisting irony myself.
Ah, I see. Very literary of you. Anyway, yes, I am glad we encountered them. They were quite entertaining, especially the father. Seeing him loosen up after a few swigs of rum was quite satisfying.
We'll talk more later.
I look forward to it. The wagon is slowing down again.
See anything out there, Danny?
Yeah, this is a small building.
Let's go take a look.
Oh, thank God you're here. I was starting to think no one would ever turn up.
What are you doing out here?
I'm not going back in there, not till that evil's been vanquished.
Evil? What evil?
The deceiver. The father of lies.
You're saying the devil is in your post office?
Yes, just like in that story. He lives in there.
Wonderful. Another maniac. Frontier's lousy with them.
Then again, maybe not.
Wait, what are you doing? Don't go in there. He'll devour your soul.
Excuse me?
Just stay away from there, please.
Nadine?
Yes?
What's your take on all this?
I'm not sure, really. Obviously, it's nothing supernatural. I believe the explanation will be far more mundane.
Mr. Postman?
Yes? What is it?
Aren't we pretty far from civilization? Why have a post office here?
Oh, not at all. We're just outside the delivery area for Shivering Pines. 10 homesteads within a 2-mile radius. Anyhow, it mostly serves as a transfer and rest station for carriers like me. But next time they ask me to take this route, I'll tell them to go to hell. 'Cause that's where they sent me.
I'd like you to tell me exactly what led up to your current predicament, and give me every detail.
Very well. I arrived last night with a load of mail from Bly, up north. Passed the night here and spent the morning sorting and tidying, getting ready to continue on to the next station in Wolf Spring. About midday, I stepped outside to ready my horse, and I heard the most awful noises coming from inside. Sheila heard them too, and bolted off like a shot. Saving her own skin, I can hardly blame her. When I looked in, I beheld a most dreadful scene. Blood everywhere. Sounds of snarling and crunching bones. And his horrid shadow on the wall. Huge and horned. I ran out here to pray for help and ain't moved since.
What makes you think it's the devil and not something else?
What else could it possibly be?
I can think of a few possibilities.
Go and have a look for yourself then. You'll not doubt once you see it with your own eyes.
What was that you said before about a story? That this was just like in some story?
Of course. You must know the famous short story by H.W. Montesquieu. The Devil Lives in the Post Office. A most chilling tale. Of course, I used to think it was just one of Mr. Montesquieu's celebrated flights of imagination. But now, I suspect he must have known something the rest of us didn't.
Big fan of horror fiction, are you?
Well, you know. No more than anyone else, I suppose. Just something to while away the long hours on the road.
Isn't life horrific enough all on its own without thinking up new, imaginary ways for things to be awful?
Ah, but the devil is very real, miss. He'd only like you to think otherwise.
Keep calm. I'm going to try and take care of this.
God be with you.
Glad it's not my job to organize those. What in the ether? Gruesome. I hope that's not human blood. What in the ether? Hey, Jake?
Yeah?
Do you believe this fellow? About it being the devil in there?
I don't doubt he believes it, but I also think the poor fella's got a wild imagination.
Got anything on you that might help the situation?
Aside from my gun, you mean? Well, I got my pocket mirror, but I don't see how that can help.
I'll take that mirror for a spell if you don't mind.
Okay. Curious to see what you do with it.
How about that? Seems our devil is just a hungry wildcat. Got some good news for you.
Oh?
It's not the devil in there, it's a wildcat.
I knew it!
Jumped in through the window, looks like. Right now, he's having a fine time feasting on a fresh rabbit.
Oh. Are you certain? The devil takes many forms.
I'd stake my life on it.
So what do we do about it?
I'm open to suggestions.
Easiest thing to do would be to scare it off. I could fire a warning shot, that ought to spook it.
I'm not sure. It seems dangerous. I don't think I could lasso it safely.
I do have some firecrackers the trapper's son gave me. I could scare it off with those.
The poor creature's probably frightened to death.
It sure didn't seem that way.
Animals often act vicious to mask their fear.
Not that different to humans.
True enough.
Nothing to say, really. Hey, Danny?
Yes, Harley.
Phil?
Harley?
Let's see if you can spook that cat with some of your razzle-dazzle.
It would be my pleasure. Anda! Success! The beast jumped out the window.
What about that other noise? Damn it! The wildcat must have knocked over that oil lamp when it took off out of here.
Santa Maria! This is not good. We need to do something, and fast.
What's this jug for?
It's my supply of drinking water.
Someone give me a hand with this? That was a close one.
Yes, a bit too close.
What? What happened?
The inside of the office got a little singed, but we managed to put out the fire.
Oh, thank the Lord.
Funny, didn't see him in there with the bucket. Guess we should head back.
God bless you, folks.
Hey, Danny, let's talk.
Sure.
How about that trapper family, huh?
It's nice to see good people like that out here in the wilderness. Pretty easy to get jaded and expect nothing but bandits and mountebanks, you know?
Hey, Jake?
Yeah, Harley?
It was nice to spend time with that trapper family.
With who? Oh, right, the Fentons.
I believe they were the Fortines.
Right.
How about another story?
Sure. Oh, I'll tell you about the time I beat a whole town at arm wrestling. My arm was sore for 2 weeks, but it was completely worth it.
Huh. There's a lady running toward the road. The heck is she doing?
Madre de Dios!
I'd better see what's going on. What is it? Bandits? Highwaymen?
Worse, performers.
Good day to you, travelers.
What's so good about it then? And what are you thinking, running out in front of the wagon like that?
I apologize for the theatrics. I fear it's in my nature.
And just who are you, anyway?
Who am I? Honestly, I suppose I'm, well, desperate.
That much is clear. You running away or something?
Heavens no, I could never do that. I'm the impresario of this theater troupe. Name's Kate Hatomi. Our show opens next week, and I'd be fibbing if I said it was going well.
So I'm guessing you want us to help you in some way?
Ah, very astute. All I ask is an hour of your time. We've been rehearsing this play for so long. We're all too close to the material. We need fresh eyes and unbiased opinions. If you could but watch our rehearsal and share your honest, unvarnished impressions, you would be doing us a good turn. The performance will be gratis, of course.
Sounds like you're asking us to be consultants. Is this a paid gig?
I'm afraid our budget would not stretch to permit that, but I could offer you free tickets to see the production when it officially premieres, as well as my most sincere gratitude.
What do you think, Miss Johnson?
I think it sounds like an excellent chance to get a few winks. I'll park just over there. Y'all have fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself and all the Queen's Mid-Atlantic players, welcome! This is a peek behind the curtain, if you will, at a work in progress. I thank you most humbly for your indulgence and warmly invite you to share your impressions following the rehearsal. And now, please enjoy the show. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a beautiful and charming princess.
Oh, I love my land. The people are kind, the water fresh, and the days are sunny and bright.
The princess was loved and admired by everyone in the land, except one. An evil wizard coveted the kingdom and kidnapped the princess, intending to marry her and gain the throne. To ensure she could not escape, he summoned a terrifying dragon to guard her. However, all was not lost. For a young hero rose to the challenge.
I shall battle the dragon and save the princess. That is, if my dear mother lets me. I said, if my mother lets me, of course.
Faye, that's your cue. Faye? Where the hell is Faye?
I don't know. Last I saw her, she was in her tent.
Oh, for crying out loud! I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what I was thinking. It's clear we won't be getting anywhere with this rehearsal. You can change out of your costume now, Dwayne. We're done here. Martina? Quentin? Same goes for you.
But I spent hours on my makeup.
And I spent months on this show! Look where that's gotten us! Everything I do to keep all this together, and you lot can't even turn up on stage now and then to hit a mark and say a few lines. Off with you, I need to think. I really must apologize for wasting your time. I knew the show needed some work. I didn't realize it wasn't fit to perform.
There must be some way we can help with the show.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Are you sure? Much as it pains me, I can't honestly say we aren't in need of help.
Certainly.
Well, I'm curious to hear your suggestions. But right now, we need to find out what's wrong with Faye. Your doctor friend went to examine her, but I think she's just having one of her tantrums. You know how actors can be. Or perhaps you don't. In which case, consider yourself lucky. I'm going back to the stage. Come see me if you have any ideas.
So, any ideas?
Perhaps. Excuse me. I'm going to have another look at the stage.
Danny and I are gonna go talk to the two fellers playing the wizard and hero. I think you should help Miss Redbird see to that Fae woman. Anyhow, we'll see if we can't get this show in halfway decent shape. Come on, Danny boy.
Oh, another visitor. Who are you?
Harley Leger. And you are?
Faye Davies. I don't expect it's a name you've heard. And as I was explaining to your friend here, not a name I expect you'll hear very much in the future.
Mrs. Davies, I would advise moderation in regards to that brandy.
Dear girl, I understand you like to dabble in medical matters, but let me assure you that this is the only medicine that works for me.
Mrs. Davies?
What is it?
Why weren't you on stage today? Is something wrong?
Something wrong. Something wrong. Exactly what aspect of my current condition would suggest to you that anything is right?
What's got you so upset?
I'm about to lose my place here, that's what. Turned out on the dusty road to fend for myself and simply overcome with the sheer injustice of it all.
You think you're being dismissed? Why's that?
Oh, it's a long, long story, but what it comes down to is finances, or lack thereof. Kate has been tightening the belt lately. She says our performances haven't been attracting the crowds they once did. But even so, we aren't doing that badly. All of us have taken quite deep cuts to our usual allowance. It still doesn't seem to be enough. Naturally, I, being the most recent addition to the troupe, am the first up to the chopping block. If you ask me, something doesn't add up. I know for a fact that our run in Bois de Quivo is quite respectable, and yet apparently our financial future is dangling over the precipice by a fraying thread. It's all more than a tad suspicious.
So you suspect Miss Hitomi is taking more than her share?
We've all suspected it for some time, but I'm the only one who's willing to speak up about it. Everyone else knows I'll be the first to go, so they keep their heads down and wait to reap my share.
You've accused Miss Hitomi?
Of course not. I haven't got any proof, but you can bet I would if I did.
If you were let go, what would you do?
Oh, God, please don't ask me such things. I can't bear to think about it.
It's a serious question. Everyone needs a backup plan.
I don't know. I just don't know. Oh, what will I do? Kate couldn't be so heartless. Will they really just let me go? Will no one speak up for me? God, help me!
There now. I'm sure there's a solution. How long have you been a member of this troupe?
Oh, not long at all. Less than a year. I was the last one to join.
What did you do before you were a Queen's Mid-Atlantic player?
I was with another outfit based up in Fawcett, the Davies Traveling Spectacular. 15 years we were together. Anton, my husband, was our director, and I was the star. When I got too old to play the princesses and heroines, Anton would cast me as the ravishing queen. He always made sure I had a spot on center stage. 16 months ago, he passed away in a stagecoach accident. An enormous tragedy.
I'm terribly sorry.
So were we all. Anton was the fiercely beating heart of that troupe. Absolutely irreplaceable. The others couldn't imagine going on without him, so everyone just went their separate ways. Just like that, everything was gone. My heart's love, my director, my troupe, my livelihood. I'm sorry.
So, how did you come to join Miss Hitomi's troupe?
Oh, the traveling theater world is quite small, you know. We all know one another and meet on the road from time to time. Kate heard what happened and wrote me a letter of condolence. We corresponded for a while. Eventually, she said she was passing by Falset and offered to take me in. Quite simply, she took pity on me.
What drew you to the stage?
I've known I wanted to act since I was a girl. I would put on shows for my parents and the village children. I traveled to Falset to audition for Anton Davies' Traveling Spectacular. He had just formed the troupe then. First, I became his star actress, and soon enough, his wife.
What can you tell me about the other players?
Oh, such sweethearts. They've taken me in like a second family. Martine, especially. She's the daughter I never had. Dwayne is a good boy, but he keeps to himself. And dear Quentin. He and I have something of a friendly rivalry. Although he can get quite competitive at times, the old ham.
I'll just leave you to it. Let's see. There are a few wax cylinders here. A poster for some show I've never heard of called The Dissembling Mechanism. Apparently it opened on New Year's Day. Hello, Miss Martina, was it?
Yeah, Martina Holder. I am sorry we could not finish the show for you.
No worries. My companions and I are trying to help your director make it better.
Ah, good. We do need the help.
When did you join this troupe?
Oh, about 4 years ago. Then my English was not so good, so I did not get many parts with words, but I am getting more and more lines in the new shows.
What were you doing before joining this troupe?
I was living in Bright Bay, working as an art model. One evening, the artist I modeled for took me to the theater to one of Miss Hitomi's shows. Afterward, he told me he was leaving to go to work for a new patron in Italy. He could no longer keep me.
So he took you out to lessen the blow?
Not exactly. It turned out he knew Miss Hitomi. He had painted some backdrops for her. He took me backstage after the show and asked her to let me audition. I was shaking. I cannot even remember what I said. I had never acted before, you see. But fortunately for me, Miss Hitomi decided to take me on. Otherwise, I would have been out on the street.
I'd like to know about your castmates.
They are fine people, and I am lucky to know them. Mr. Ellis always has stories and jokes to make me laugh. He reminds me of a big bear. He's also a very fine actor, and he has performed on stages in great cities all over Europe. Dwayne is very nice, but he's also very shy. He does not speak much with me or any of the others. I have always thought it is funny that an actor is so shy, but when he is on stage, one would never know. And Mrs. Davies is like a mother to me. She cares for us very much and wants to make sure everyone is healthy and happy. Although she does nag a lot. My real mother did not nag so.
Do you suspect that Miss Hitomi might be keeping money from you and your castmates?
What? I never. Miss Hitomi would not do such a thing. Who has told you this? Was it Mrs. Davies?
Well, yes.
I am not surprised. I think that of all of us, she is easily the most dramatic.
Goodbye, Miss Holder.
Lovely to be speaking with you. Oh, I love this one. This was the first song I learned in English, you know.
You don't say. How does it go?
All of the little maidens go strolling along. All of the little boys come to sing them a song. All of the little children start dancing in line. And all of them have such a wonderful time. All have a wonderful time.
Interesting. Her accent all but disappears when she sings. Miss Holder?
Yeah?
I must say, you've got a beautiful singing voice.
Oh, why thank you.
I couldn't help but notice how clearly your words come out in song.
Yeah, you're not the first to say this to me. I cannot explain it. It is just something which happens.
Goodbye, Miss Holder.
Lovely to be speaking with you.
Someone kept a copy of a local newspaper. What a mess. Most of these seem to be show notes. Here's a list of names. Othello, Carondelet, Dissembling, Delphi. Wonder what that means. It's a poster for a musical show called Carondelet. It opened on June 2nd. Must be one of Miss Hitomi's previous shows. A poster for The Mystery at Delphi. Opened on November 6th. These might be useful. A brass button. Miss Hitomi?
Yes?
What do you think would make the show better?
God, where do I begin? Faye's in a black mood. Quentin thinks his character lacks depth. Martina's unintelligible. And Dwayne's swordplay doesn't even rise to the level of farce. And naturally, theater's all about imagination. But with the quality of our set and props, I fear we are asking rather too much of our audience in that department. I'm this close to packing it all in.
When did you put this troupe together?
As it exists now? Oh, it's been about 5 years, I should say. That's when Quentin and I came over to Vespuccia.
What were you doing before starting this troupe?
I spent some time in London, then went traveling around Europe doing this and that. Until I met Quentin.
Have you performed yourself, or do you stay out of the spotlight?
Me? Oh no, I haven't been on stage since Paris. Quentin and I used to do a little magic show, if you can believe it.
No foolin'?
It was a very long time ago. Not worth remembering, honestly.
I want to hear about your cast.
Oh, they all have their talents. They wouldn't be in my troupe otherwise. But I don't hold with talking about people behind their backs. Why don't you get to know them yourself?
What's wrong with Quentin's character?
Not a thing! Everyone loves to hate the evil wizard. He's a guaranteed crowd pleaser. But Quentin thinks the role lacks depth, that his talents as an actor, and they are considerable, are going to waste. And yes, perhaps he has a point, but for God's sake, this is not the Royal Arcadium! We performers have a saying. There are no small roles, only small-minded, puffed-up thespians who suppose that entertaining the common man is somehow beneath them. I love Quentin, really I do, but I've had it up to here with his carping and grousing. He doesn't listen to me, but you're welcome to try bringing him down to earth if you'd like.
What's the problem with Martina?
Weren't you listening? She doesn't so much say her lines as chew on them and cough them out. She's a sweet girl, and her physical performance is outstanding. The things she can do with just her eyes. I'm loath to cut her part or take away the few lines she already has, but unless she finds some way to magically rid herself of that blasted Teutonic accent, I may have to.
You don't think the swordplay is good enough?
Setting aside that our prop swords are as likely to crumble to bits or give the players paper cuts as they are to make it through a scene intact, it's just not very convincing or compelling. Dwayne either needs to get more adept at handling them, or we need to rethink the whole sword thing. Thank God this play doesn't feature a real sword fighting duel, but it does need a big climax where the hero slays the dragon. How are we supposed to do that without a sword?
What can we do to make your set and props better?
The best thing we've got is the dragon head, but it's not exactly intimidating, is it? Your friend over there said he might have an idea to make it better. Honestly, at this point, I'm all ears.
I had a chat with Mrs. Davies. She seems to think her position's in jeopardy.
What? Why would she think that?
Are you saying you're not planning on letting her go?
Of course not, especially not so close to opening night. What a ridiculous notion! Honestly, I don't know where Faye gets these ideas.
So long.
Take care.
Phil?
Harley?
Had any ideas to make the show better?
Yes, I believe so. This dragon head is amusing, but with some pyrotechnics, it could really impress a crowd.
You want to make it breathe fire?
Ah, indeed. Far more effective, wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. But how do you intend to pull it off?
I can rig it up quite easily, but I need a fuel source. If you can find me some high-proof alcohol, we should be set.
What was your opinion of the performance?
It was not to my taste. However, with some improvements, it could be entertaining.
All right, see you later. Hey there.
Oh, hello.
What are you doing with that sword?
Practicing for the show. I didn't get to do my big fight scene with the dragon.
That sword seems to be giving you some trouble.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time getting the hang of it. The balance on this thing is terrible, and I'm always afraid of breaking it. I never liked working with prop weapons. But as long as we're doing medieval romances, I guess I'm stuck with this sword.
How do you feel about boxing?
I'd be happier doing any kind of unarmed fighting style, really. But how am I supposed to box a dragon?
With style and panache, that's how. It's all about confidence. And I have a feeling you'd look much more confident without that sword.
You don't think the audience would be confused?
It's your job to make them believe it. They just want a good show.
I don't know. We've never done a boxing scene. I don't really know a lot about the form.
I used to do some boxing back in the day. Could show you some moves if you like.
Heck, sure. Why not? This whole sword thing clearly isn't working for me. But I'd rather not do it bare knuckle. Not really into the whole suffering for my art thing.
Right. I'll see what I can come up with. How did you end up on board with this crew?
Oh, I met Miss Hitomi and Mr. Ellis back east when they passed through my town in Appalachia. Snuck out of the house to see the show. I went backstage after to ask if I could audition to join. Miss Hitomi said no. So, after they packed up for the night, I stowed away in the wagon. Rode halfway to La Roche before they found me. That was when my real audition happened. Mr. Ellis spoke up for me. He said, "Now, Katie, my dear, you would be a bloody fool to leave the lad behind after a performance like that."
What were you doing before joining this troupe?
Working on my parents' farm. It was a rough life. Wasn't much to my liking. No glamour, no surprise, no fun, no opportunity to meet anyone interesting. And my father was very strict. All he wanted was for me to marry our neighbor's daughter so I would inherit his land and grow our family's holdings. Eventually, I realized I would die if I stayed any longer. My soul would die anyway, so I left.
How did you know you wanted to act?
I always liked listening to other people, hearing how they talked. Used to practice in front of a mirror and try to imitate them. Sometimes I'd dress up to get the look just right. Ma didn't like that much.
What do you think of your fellow troupe members?
Some days I hate them. Most days I love them. And any day, I would die for them. We're a strange little family, you know? Mr. Ellis and Miss Hitomi are a squabbling ma and pa. Dear boy, you must make more time for yourself. There are too few hours in the day as it is. Oh, leave the boy alone, Quentin. He can decide how to spend his time. And Miss Davies is our busybody aunt. Are you comfortable? Have you got everything you need? Is that costume too itchy?
So that would make Martina like your sister?
No, not quite.
Are you sweet on Martina?
With all due respect, that's none of your concern, ma'am.
Say, you're good at imitating other people.
Oh, thanks. It's always been kind of a specialty of mine. Used to get me in a lot of trouble back home, so I only do it for laughs nowadays.
I've heard a rumor that Miss Hitomi might be keeping some extra funds. Know anything about that?
Oh, sure, I've heard that rumor too, but I don't much believe it. Miss Hitomi takes good care of us. She'd never cheat us out of our earnings.
Thanks. You can get back to your training.
Thanks, ma'am.
I found some boxing gloves in Miss Hitomi's trunk, if you want to practice sparring.
Oh, sure. That'd be great.
Danny, how'd you like to help out?
Sure.
First, your stance is all wrong. Stagger your feet, 1 foot in front, weight evenly balanced, knees slightly bent. Good. Now, show me what you can do. Not bad. Not bad. Try not to let your elbow flare out, Dwayne. Protect the ribs. I think you boys are getting the hang of it.
Ah, one of your companions has decided to join us.
This is Harley Leger. She used to be a performer of sorts herself, you know.
You don't say. What sort?
I was a fighter. Not sure that really counts.
My dear, if an audience paid money to come see you, that counts as performing in my book. I'm Quentin Ellis, by the by. Delighted to make your acquaintance.
Likewise. Quentin Ellis is Othello, premiering October 7th. Could I have a moment, Mr. Ellis?
Of course, my dear.
Just how long have you been a part of this troupe?
Why, since before its inception. That is to say, Kate and I have known each other since well before this incarnation of the troupe was formed. We met in Paris, you see, back in 27.
What did you do before joining the troupe?
I was classically trained at the York Theatrical Academy. I performed all over England before decamping for the continent. When I met Katie, I was touring Europe playing before the crowned heads. Why, my performance as Othello received a standing ovation from Archduke Hubert of Austria.
What drew you to the stage?
Ah, the eternal question. What drew you to the ring?
Money. Found out my tolerance for pain was higher than my tolerance for hunger.
I see, an empty belly is a demanding muse indeed. For me, it was love of the art. I was born with it.
Paris, you say? What was that like?
Ah, those were the days, wild and carefree. We found welcome from a public receptive to our more experimental forays. Nothing like the audiences you find here, mind. Dusty farmers and unlettered cowpokes, the lot of them.
I'd like to know about the others in your troupe.
Fishing for nasty gossip, are we? Unless you have a couple of glasses and a bottle or two of very good liquor stashed somewhere about your person, you won't be getting any of that from me. Truly, they are good people, and I cherish every one of them. We rely on one another. Granted, we have our occasional quarrels, but what family doesn't? It's true that none of them have my training and decades of stage experience, so naturally they look to me for guidance and mentorship.
I heard a rumor that Miss Hitomi might be misappropriating the troupe's funds.
Poppycock, pure hearsay. I'll bet Faye put that poison in your mind. I have known Katie longer than anyone. She is many things, but never a thief.
Is it true you used to have a magic act?
Why, yes, it is. Funny, I'd almost forgotten. Katie and I briefly tried our hand at stage magic. She was quite adept at sleight of hand, but in the end it wasn't our true métier. Too much meticulous planning and bulky, specialized equipment. No room for spontaneity and delight. No emotional connection. No, it wasn't for us. Now Katie uses the old magic trunk to store costumes.
Miss Hitomi said something about you being unhappy with your character?
Oh, don't get me started. The evil wizard is a stock villain, paper thin, a cipher. All I do is tromp on stage and glower at the audience. He wants to rule the kingdom and kidnaps the princess, all right, but why? What motivates him to do it? Drama comes from a rich depth of character. Complexity, not caricature. I need something I can work with, something to sink my teeth into.
What if Jake and I came up with a better history for your character?
Do you think you could?
Sure. Harley's got the gift of writing, and I've been known to spin a yarn or two.
Very well. I must admit I'm curious to see what you come up with. Why does the wizard want to rule the kingdom?
He doesn't want to rule. He wants to save the kingdom.
Yeah, in his mind, he's the real hero.
Oh, intriguing. A subversion of our expectations. All right, but why does he kidnap the princess?
He's actually keeping her safe from the dragon.
Unexpected. I like it. And how does the dragon fit into all this?
The wizard wants to tame the dragon and harness its power to serve the kingdom.
Ah, I see. So truly he's just misunderstood. Yes, yes. Oh, this is a much more interesting and complex figure. The wizard is human, like any of us. He has his own needs and desires. He is conflicted. He strives to do the right thing, however that appears to him. He is the protagonist of his own story. This I can work with. Thank you.
Think nothing of it. Appreciate the chat.
The pleasure was all mine, dear.
A brass button. Mr. Ellis said this was Miss Hitomi's old magic trunk. Maybe these buttons aren't just for decoration. Well, I'll be. Quite a bit of cash in here. So Miss Hitomi is skimming off the profits? Perhaps that book might shed some light on things. I'd better take a look at this. Huh. It seems Miss Hitomi's keeping the extra money to invest in the show. She calls it a rainy day fund, and she has a separate space for emergency salary reserve. So Mrs. Davies was wrong. I ought to show her this. Maybe it'll calm her down. I found this ledger in Miss Hitomi's trunk, along with some cash.
So I was right. This is exactly the proof I was looking for.
It's not quite what you think. Look at the entries.
Rainy day fund. Emergency salary reserve. Why, she isn't keeping this for herself.
She's setting it aside to help you all.
Oh dear, how embarrassing.
What a fool I've been.
We all make mistakes. So now that you know your position is safe, will you get on stage and perform?
Yes, of course. Thank you for clearing up this misunderstanding. I really do appreciate it.
I don't think she'll be needing this anymore. Here, how about this for some fuel?
Yes, this will work. Excuse me, I must go backstage and set up the prop.
Miss Hitomi?
Yes?
What's the problem with Martina?
Weren't you listening? She doesn't so much say her lines as chew on them and cough them out. She's a sweet girl, and her physical performance is outstanding. The things she can do with just her eyes. I'm loath to cut her part or take away the few lines she already has, but unless she finds some way to magically rid herself of that blasted Teutonic accent, I may have to.
So long.
Take care.
Miss Holder?
Yeah?
Say, I've just had a crazy idea. Rather than speaking your lines, why not sing them?
Sing them? That is an interesting thought, but would it not be strange?
Strange? Haven't you ever heard of opera?
But if only I am singing and no one else?
It's a little unorthodox, sure, but isn't that what art is all about? Being expressive, doing the unexpected. I think it will really bring some emotion to the role. It'll be like your character is too pure to just say words. The feeling is so strong she has to sing them.
Yeah, I think I see what you are saying. Very well. I will try this next time.
Goodbye, Miss Holder.
Lovely to be speaking with you.
Miss Hitomi?
Yes?
I think you can try a second rehearsal now.
Really? You sure?
Positive. Let's get this show going.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a beautiful and charming princess.
How I love my land. The people are kind, the water fresh, and the day sunny and bright.
The princess was loved and admired by everyone in the land, except one. An evil wizard coveted the kingdom and kidnapped the princess, intending to marry her and gain the throne.
Hark! You may think me evil, but wait until you discover my true intentions.
To ensure she could not escape, he summoned a terrifying dragon to guard her. However, all was not lost. For a young hero rose to the challenge.
I shall battle the dragon and save the princess. That is, if my dear mother lets me.
My dearest boy, proud as I am of your bravery, I worry so for your safety.
Fear not, mother, for I shall return victorious from battle.
And so the brave lad rode to the castle and confronted the mighty dragon.
Foul beast! Your end is nigh!
With the dragon defeated, our brave hero rescued the princess and vanquished the wizard.
Curses! My plans have been foiled.
Oh, my brave son has returned.
Ah, Your Highness, I am smitten by your beauty. Will you marry me?
Yes, yes, gladly will I marry you. And they lived happily ever after. Well, at least we made it through to the end that time. Your fix has made a big difference. It's given me a lot to consider. Quentin has offered to do some rewrites. I'm sure he'll get us in good shape by next week.
Glad to be of service.
I'm curious to know how it all turns out. Send me a note at the Rosewater Post after you premiere.
Gladly.
We should be on our way. Miss Johnson has surely awoken from her nap by now.
True enough. Break a leg next week, Miss Hitomi.
Thank you. Safe travels.
We did what we could for Miss Hitomi and her folk. In the end, they've formed a strange kind of family, and they seem determined to keep on going. We've kept on going too. The oppressive, arid heat is beginning to give way to fresh breezes and forested slopes as we leave the desert scrub behind and cross into the mountains. Onward and upward. Phil?
Harley?
How do you think Miss Hitomi's show will do?
I believe it has a chance to succeed. If nothing else, the new pyrotechnics for the dragon will distract the audience from the acting.
We'll talk more later.
I look forward to it.
Hey, Nadine.
Hello, Harley.
Think Miss Hitomi's show will be a success?
I'd like to think so. We certainly left it better than when we found it.
No, it cannot be.
What's going on?
Not sure, but we're slowing down. Must be something important if he convinced Miss Johnson to stop. I'll go have a look. Care to explain what's going on?
I know these people. They are from Jicotea.
All the way out here?
Yes. I thought they might head for the border, as I did. I am relieved to see they made it.
General Márquez, ¿qué haces aquí?
Antonio, it is good to see you are well.
I would not say I am well, General.
This is my companion, Harley Leger.
Has the General recruited you to his cause then?
Not at all. I'm writing a story for the Rosewater Post.
Is that so? There is much that could be written about the plight of our people. For instance, how the brave General Márquez brought it all down upon us.
What are you talking about, Antonio?
You came to our village with your talk of revolution and freedom. You are very persuasive, General. Your words moved people and put many innocent lives in harm's way. No sooner had you arrived than the army came to rain fire upon us. Surely you knew what would happen.
I expected some response, of course. But who could anticipate that those Spanish dogs would behave like such inhuman monsters? But I also believed that the people would resist. And resist they did.
You gave us no choice. We were forced to defend ourselves. But you never allowed us to decide if we wanted to join your fight.
I did not consider.
It is only by God's grace that some of us managed to escape. Jicotea, our home, is gone. Those who survived made our way here to this strange country.
Where is Lieutenant Morales? I ordered him to lead a civilian evacuation as escort. Did he not conduct you to safety?
Yes, he did. But I do not think it would be a good idea for you to see him. In fact, it would be best if you just go now. We do not need any more of your revolution here, General.
These people clearly need help. Maybe we can do something for them?
Like what?
Let's poke around. Something might come to us. could I have a moment?
What do you want?
I'd like to hear more about you.
My name is Antonio Ruiz. Like my family for generations before me, I used to be a baker in our village, Jicotea, but everything changed when General Marquez came to us. Now my family is gone, and I am a refugee in a foreign land.
I'm so sorry.
Better to be alive somewhere strange than dead at home.
How did you wind up in this camp?
Lieutenant Morales got us away from our village and helped us across the border. We decided to head west, out of the desert. 3 weeks ago, we found this abandoned church and set up our camp. It has not been easy. We have sick and injured, and we have already lost some along the way. We cannot stay here forever. We need to find a more permanent home.
We'd like to see Lieutenant Morales.
As I said before, that is not a good idea. Lieutenant Morales has been through enough already. I do not want to torment him further by allowing General Marquez an audience.
Thank you, sir.
Adios, señorita.
There's quite a few people. Doesn't look like they've been camped here very long.
General Marquez. No puede ser.
Isabel, I am glad to see you.
What are you doing here? And who is this?
Good to meet you. I'm Harley Leger. We'd like to help you if we can.
Is that so? Will you be helping us the way General Marquez did when you abandoned us to the Spanish army?
Isabel, you are not being fair.
You dare talk to me about fairness? Fairness would be seeing you executed for cowardice.
What?
After drawing the army into a battle, you fled, leaving us to be massacred.
I did no such thing.
You should have stayed and fought with us, first into battle and last to retreat. Instead, you withdrew as Jicotea crumbled. How do you expect to achieve victory if you do not stay to claim it?
I thought...
It was only the brave leadership of Lieutenant Morales that kept us alive. Now, we are stuck here, unable to return and take back what's rightfully ours. I don't want to speak about this anymore. Leave me in peace, General.
The pews have seen better days. Some of them have been converted into makeshift beds. They've turned a pew over to serve as a table, and it seems the collection plate's been turned into a serving plate. Someone left their knife behind. A glob of dried wax. Someone was careless with a candle. It's been a long time since anyone used that altar. Ma'am?
What is it?
Tell me more about yourself, Isabel.
Myself? What can I say? My life has been completely destroyed. I used to take care of my grandchildren, while my son and his wife worked their farm. Now, I am stuck in a strange country with no hope of return. And to complete my torment, the man responsible for it all turns up as if nothing happened.
Is your family here? Did they escape with you?
No. My son stood up to the Spanish tyrants and died defending his home. Last I saw his wife, she was fleeing with the children. I do not know where they went. Lieutenant Morales and his men ushered a group of us out. There was no time to gather anything or find our loved ones.
I'm so sorry.
As am I. Sorry I cannot return to punish those who robbed us of our freedom.
How did you come to shelter in this church?
After crossing into Vespuccia, we soon realized that we could not survive in the open desert. The forest proved just as dangerous. At last, we happened upon this abandoned church. It may not be much, but at least it has walls and a roof.
Can you tell me about Antonio?
That poor old fool. He has completely given up. He thinks we should abandon our home, start over in Vespuccia, rather than return to the fight. The man I once knew would not just roll over and admit defeat. It is sad to see how age has enfeebled him.
Would it be possible for us to speak with Lieutenant Morales?
That is out of the question.
We'll talk again later. Phil?
Harley?
Who is this Lieutenant Morales you mentioned?
One of my bravest compadres. And a dear friend. I tasked him with leading the survivors of Jicotea north, across the border, if necessary. If he is here, I would very much like to speak with him.
Right. Carry on. Could I have a moment?
What do you want?
Tell me about Isabel.
Isabel is misguided. She believes we should return to Jicotea and fight. She refuses to see the truth. We're better off in Vespuccia. A revolution is a lost cause. Our own country would have us submit or die. All that is left to us is to start a new life here.
Thank you, sir.
Adios, señorita.
Phil?
Harley?
Isabel and Antonio aren't too fond of you. Think we might be able to bury the hatchet?
Perhaps. I have been thinking about what might serve for a peace offering.
I'm listening.
These people have lost so much. They have not had the opportunity to properly mourn. I would like to present them with a candle of remembrance.
What's that?
A simple votive candle, lit to honor those who have passed. We just need to find or make one. I hope they might appreciate the gesture.
Right. Carry on. It's tied on really tight. Can't just rip it off. This is stuck fast. No way I can just pull it off. I'll take some of this wax. Phil?
Harley?
Right. Carry on. I'll just borrow this for a spill. Got it. Getting there. Could still use some more. Don't mind if I do. That should be enough wax. How about that? Harley Leger, chandler extraordinaire. It's full of melted wax. Here, I made a remembrance candle for you.
Yes, this will work. Good. I can call everyone together for a vigil. A moment of peace is sorely needed. But there is one more thing. These people cannot stay here. They need a plan of action.
Seems like they've already got some ideas.
Yes, Antonio and Isabel are at odds. But there is merit in both of their positions. I do not know whose leadership would benefit this community more. Although my influence is somewhat diminished, I feel that many might still be swayed if I were to lend my voice in support of one or the other. Who would you choose, were you in my position?
What are the arguments in favor of each? Walk me through it.
Well, Isabel's heart still burns with the spirits of the revolution. And she says that many feel the same. She would have them go back in defiance of a government so morally corrupt that it would send soldiers to massacre simple villagers.
What do you think would happen to them?
They would all be risking their lives. But they would also be sending a powerful message. The revolution lives. The people yearn to be free. We will not surrender to evil. Such a proclamation cannot be ignored. And when enough voices finally shout it all at once, it cannot be resisted.
And the points in Antonio's favor?
Antonio rightly says that the people of Jicotea did not ask for their village to become a fortress of the resistance. By my coming, I made it a target. They were swept up in something over which they had no control and no say. And they have already paid a steep price.
But surely there must have been some support for the revolution among the people, or you wouldn't have gone there in the first place.
Some, yes. Many were sympathetic to our aims, but had not yet been moved to action. We were trying to rally support. A brave man may offer up his life for a cause, but may he bravely offer up the lives of others.
It seems to me that if you make a decision one way or the other, you're as bad as that corrupt government you're trying to resist. You're fighting for freedom. So why not give them the freedom to choose for themselves? Antonio says the villagers just want peace. And Isabel says they're spoiling for a fight. Well, put it to a vote and find out.
There is much wisdom in what you say, but I do not know. What if such a question divides the people irreparably? Now is a time for unity of purpose, not further fracturing.
I think they'll need to work that out for themselves. But first, they've got to find out where everyone stands. Bureaucrats and dictators always think people are too stupid to make their own decisions, so they treat them like cattle. If you show the people you trust them with their own fates, I think they'll surprise you.
Mi amiga, the spirit of the revolution does indeed live in you. Thank you for helping me to see it. Gather the villagers and meet me in the church.
All right.
Amigos, thank you all for gathering to listen to my words. You all have suffered tremendously. I know you do not look favorably upon me, but I wish to offer my sincerest condolences and take a moment to remember the fallen. Whether or not they would have chosen this fight, it came to them unasked and claimed their lives. Eusebio Lopez, Gloria Hernandez, Abel Martinez. All martyrs of the revolution. Let us cherish their memory and ensure that their names are never forgotten. Now that we have honored the past, let us speak of the future. Speaking to Antonio and Isabel has made me realize that leaders should not make every decision. For us to truly be free, we must each be allowed to choose our destinies.
What are you saying, General?
When I came to Jicotea, I hoped you would all voluntarily take arms and fight. Many of you did, and for that I will always be grateful. But I did not realize that I was also forcing the battle upon you. In not giving you a choice, I became no better than our oppressors. For this, I am sorry. Isabel and Antonio have their own ideas for the future, but it is not my place to tell you who you should side with. That choice is and should always be in the hands of the people.
But General Marquez, if our group splits up even more...
Then you will know that those who remain beside you are there because they truly want to be, not because they feel they have to be. My friends, you may stay or you may return and fight. But no matter what you choose, you shall have the two most important things in the world. Honor y libertad.
A rousing speech, General. I was hoping for something more decisive.
My decisiveness was what got you all here in the first place. I hope you can forgive me.
You are forgiven. Before you go, you were asking about Lieutenant Morales? I will take you to him if you wish.
Please.
Follow me.
When did this happen?
2 weeks ago. Some of the children were playing in the forest when they startled a mother bear with her cub. There is nothing more dangerous than a mother defending her brood. Lieutenant Morales got them to safety, but the beast mortally wounded him.
Brave to the last.
Indeed. He died a hero's death protecting the vulnerable.
May I have a moment? Lieutenant Morales, I promise your death will not be in vain. We will carry your name on our lips when we march to victory. Until we meet again, old friend. Come, Harley. Let us continue our journey. Adios, Isabel.
Adios, General.
Why don't you go on ahead? I'd like a minute to collect my thoughts.
Very well.
Oh, good, you're back. We're low on food. If we want to eat tonight, we'll need to hunt for more. I'll let y'all decide what we're after. Round here, the fishing's pretty good, and there's plenty of rabbits and pheasants. Personally, I'd suggest rabbits. Easiest to catch and prepare.
I wouldn't be opposed to some pheasant. Danny makes a mean stew.
Yeah, that sounds good.
What kind of fish are common around here?
Mostly salmon.
Ah, then fishing gets my vote.
Yes, I vote fishing as well.
And you, Leger?
I think pheasant sounds great.
Then it's decided. The three of you who wanted pheasant, take the rifles in the wagon and get hunting. Rest of us will start making camp.
I'm thinking this'll be a good place to hunt. You all right handling that thing, Harley?
More than all right. In fact, I'll wager I get more birds than you do.
You're on. Let's get to it. Okay, everybody ready? Time to shoot us some supper.
Yeah! Yeah! Well, I'll be. Well, I'll be. We'll be eating good tonight.
What a haul! We'll be eating like kings tonight.
Told you I'd bag more birds.
So you did. Nice shooting. Shame you forgot to name any steaks.
I'll take the compliment as my reward.
What was that?
Oh, shit.
Holy.
Whoa. What do we do?
Keep your heads. No sudden moves.
I think it wants our birds.
Let's back away slowly. I think that's what you're supposed to do with bears.
Sure. But I've got a clean shot.
I'm backing away some more.
Okay. Nice and slow.
What if you threw at one of the pheasants, Danny?
Might be enough to distract it so we can get away. I think we're clear. Keep moving back slowly.
That was close.
Way too close for my liking.
But we live to see another day, and that's what matters.
At least we still have plenty of food for supper.
And a hell of a story to tell.
Speaking of, we should get the fire ready.
Now that was some good eating. Wonder if that bear feels the same. So, I've been meaning to ask, what's everybody planning on doing with their share of Clark's stash?
Jake, is that something we should really be talking about?
Look, I ain't deaf. I've known about your little treasure hunt for a while. Far as I'm concerned, that's your business, and I want no part of it. You paid me to get you to El Presidio, and that's what I'm doing.
Miss Johnson's been a valuable member of this group. I think we should cut her in.
You're kind, Leger, but I ain't interested. I was taught to earn an honest living, and that's what I intend to do.
Anyhow, the question stands.
I think I'd like to buy a new pair of six-shooters. Maybe a horse. It'd be nice to travel the countryside, too.
Have we not been doing that?
Well, sure, but I meant for pleasure. What about you, Phil?
My share will go to the revolution, of course. With full coffers, we will more readily find willing allies. And, of course, I will send something to assist the refugees here in Vespuccia.
That's good of you, Phil. I think I'd like to open my own clinic.
Dr. Redbird, eh?
Well, no, I can't practice as a doctor without a medical license. But I could continue as an herbalist, or maybe a midwife.
So get your medical license. You're already worth 10 of those frontier quacks out there. They're all practicing with some scrap of parchment they paid some fancy school for. You could just write in for one. You'd never have to attend a class or show your face.
Perhaps that's something to consider. You sure you aren't interested in joining us, Miss Johnson? The extra money could let you stay in one place for a while.
An interesting thought. But I don't mind moving around. At least until I find something worth staying put for.
What about you, Harley?
Having some extra money would be a good excuse to keep traveling. Hell, maybe I can get out of Vespuccia and see the world.
Sounds like a great idea.
And you, Jake?
Oh, I haven't really thought about it.
But you asked the question.
Sure, but because I was curious about you folks. Truth be told, I ain't in much of a hurry for this trip to end.
Well, that's awful sweet.
Oh, I'll lay off, will you? All right, folks, I'm turning in. See y'all in the morning.
Good girl. Glad to see you and Lisa Lou getting along so well.
She's a great pup. Suddenly the road feels a little less lonely. Ain't that right, girl?
You okay, Nadine? You seem lost in thought.
Oh, I was just contemplating what Miss Johnson said about me getting a license. I never really thought about it before. On one hand, it's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but it's also just as terrifying to consider the unknown.
Well, I think Miss Johnson has a point. You should try for your license. Anyway, isn't considering the unknown all part of being a doctor?
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I'll give it some more thought. It seems I'm sleepier than I thought. I should get to bed.
Fair enough. Get some rest.
Good night, Harley. Please excuse me. I'll see you all in the morning.
Doing all right, Danny?
I think so, yeah. You talking about traveling got me thinking. There's so many places I'd love to see. Europe, for instance. Or even China. It'd be great to see where my parents came from.
Suppose you'd have to convince Jake to take his show international?
Not necessarily. Can't stay in his shadow forever, after all. I'm feeling pretty tired. Think I'll hit the hay.
How are you feeling, Phil?
Well, I have had much to think about of late. Learning the fate of Lieutenant Morales and the refugees has left me uneasy. I ask myself whether we did the right thing. And what of the revolution? Or the mystery of the fort's aurum shipments? I have yet to hear from Lieutenant General de la Vega regarding either. So many questions and so few answers.
Sounds like you really do have a lot on your mind.
Indeed. Would you like to join me in a toast to the fallen?
I'll pass on the drink, but I'll join you in saluting their memory.
A curious custom you follow. But, all right. A los caídos. Salud! I have been meaning to ask. More than once now, you have refused to imbibe during a toast. Now, where I am from, this could be considered anything from a social misstep to a downright insult. Why do you do this, Is this a common thing among Vespuccians?
Not so common, no. It's just how I am, I suppose.
Fascinating. What a refreshing and unusual perspective. It is always a pleasure to raise a glass with you, my friend, whether there is anything in it or not. I believe I will retire for the evening. Buenas noches.
Looks like you and I are the last ones standing for a change.
Imagine that. You going to bed?
Guess so. You?
Not just yet. Time to get in my nightly walk.
All right. Enjoy yourself. See you in the morning.
Good night, Leger. Come on, girl.
Morning. We ready to head out?
We should be once Lola returns. She said she was going to go scout down the road a ways.
That was a while ago. Maybe we should go check on her.
I'll go look for her.
You sure?
Yeah. Be back in no time. Everything all right?
Oh, yeah. Just some damn vandals making trouble.
Vandals? I don't follow.
Just have a look. Somebody's desecrated this traveler's shrine.
What's a traveler's shrine?
A custom of the road. Folks set 'em up for lots of reasons. Some think they bring luck. Others use them to pray to St. Christopher. Sometimes they have gifts or supplies you can use, provided you leave something for the next traveler.
We can't just leave the shrine like this. Can we fix it?
Yes, I think we can. Whoever did this probably just scattered everything around. We can search the area for what's missing.
What exactly are we looking for?
Well, the icon of St. Christopher, for one. See all that writing on the boulder next to the shrine? There was probably something people used to make those marks, but that's also gone. And the offering box is empty, so we should put something in before we go.
All right, let's get to work. Hey, Miss Johnson?
What is it?
What is St. Christopher the saint of?
Travelers, I guess. Also looks out for athletes and people with toothaches.
Next time I'm on my way to get a tooth pulled after a rough boxing match, I'll keep him in mind. Why does the shrine include a writing tool?
Traditionally, travelers write the name of their destination somewhere nearby. It's a blessing for a safe arrival.
We haven't had much chance to speak one-on-one. I'd like to know something about you.
This ain't the time to swap personal anecdotes. Let's focus on what we're doing first. Then maybe we'll chat.
We should get back to looking.
I agree.
Nothing inside but dead leaves and insects. This bottle's still intact. Hey, a piece of chalk. What's this? Looks like I found St. Christopher.
Good.
You said people write where they're going on here?
Yes, or a message or prayer to St. Christopher. Observing the tradition?
Yes. I think I'll ask St. Christopher to bring us luck. There.
Hope you ain't thinking of drinking that.
Something wrong?
That water's stagnant. Unless you want to be running out both ends, you better boil it first.
I'm heading back to camp for a spill.
All right, then.
This shouldn't take long. There, nice and clean. There you are, St. Christopher. Back where you belong. There. Now the next thirsty traveler can have some clean drinking water. Right? I think that's everything.
Not quite.
Leaving your own mark?
Yep.
I don't understand. What does your message mean?
I'm asking for safe passage to wherever I end up.
And where's that?
Damned if I know. Right now, the only way I'm going is forward. We all got our paths in this life. I'm just trying to forge mine.
I get what you're saying. Not having anything to tie you down is nice, in a way.
Speaking from experience?
You could say that. I've never put down deep roots. I'd only been in Rosewater a day before we started this trip. Before that, I lived in Pierre a few years after moving from Rampton. But I grew up in New Bretagne.
Lamplight City? So you're one of them tough gals, huh?
Well, there was a time I boxed under the name Spitfire Harley.
No kidding. Guess that explains a few things. We should head back to camp and get a move on. Sun's already higher than I'd like.
After you, Miss Johnson.
Call me Lola.